Charlie. Mark, 1 Charlie.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'm full of optimism.
Einstein's theory of relativity.
And we're still seeing it quite well through that haze.
T-minus 37 seconds.
The fight is growing
E
confident.
equals MC.
That all men are created equal.
About the future innovations.
And growing strength in the air.
Ignition sequence.
Tear down this
Something's happening. Coming up on staging.
This is Finding Your Frequency with your hosts, Jeff Spinard and Ryan Treasure. It's time to speak up, share your voice, and hear from the thought leaders.
And welcome to Finding Your Frequency. I am your host, Jeff Spinard. I am the CEO and president of World Talk Radio, home to the Voice America Talk Radio and TV networks. Joining me, of course, my 12-year colleague, 17-year veteran, and my vice president of broadcast operations, Mr. Ryan Treasure. Ryan.
Jeff, this is Finding Your Frequency.
Another glorious week, my friend.
Friday is on us, and here we are on the air doing what we do.
You know, it's been an exciting few weeks, I'll say, because we've been really busy with a lot of different projects.
Yeah, last week we were out at the Weekopah Resort, broadcasting live from the Pitbull Hard Money Conference, 42nd National, and we did a marathon 9-hour live broadcast through the day, and it was fantastic. Got about 17 interviews, and it was great.
It was a sensational day. And, we'll have the video up on voiceamerica.tv, so pay attention here. That'll be ready and up, and then probably next week sometime. But we had a great radio show, too. We found our frequency with the entrepreneurs, Mr. James Dentley and David Fagan.
Yeah, it was a really cool show talking to those guys and kind of, delving into the life of James Dentley as a professional speaker and serial entrepreneur, and then also kind of hearing all about the icon building components that David Fagan does out there in Los Angeles. Definitely a great group of guys.
These guys, they're really getting out there. I see them all over the place. A lot of L.A., Southern California work and putting together programs and events, and they're really the influencers that influence the influencers, which I don't know if I stole that from Allison or Eric, but I think it's a nice catchy phrase because it really is how it's working.
Everybody uniting,
influencing influencers.
Yep, and everybody's coming together, and it's been a storm on social media too the last couple of weeks with all new connections from our trip out to LA for the gala and City Summit events, and then of course we did Rock Against Trafficking, which is amazing. You guys got to go to rockagainsttrafficking.org, of course, and go donate to the cause. Let's get this album built and created and really rid this world of trafficking. It's terrible.
And we'll certainly get into a lot more of that later into the show. But I do want to say this, that Jeff Spinard is going to put together a new segment to the show, and this is probably just news to you too.
Hey, bring it.
I have a friend. I've been talking to this guy for probably 6 months or so. Ken Ludwig is his name. He works with a product called, of course you do, product called Purium, and I need to get healthy. I have the big D word, what they say is diabetes. So that, that amongst, I've always been a big guy, but I'm at the point where I'm just too big. I still, knock a few things around, but, I need to get myself back to my fighting weight. So I want to create a segment, kind of a Biggest Loser segment, during the show, do a weigh and all that good stuff like that.
Oh, dude, we can totally launch that as a campaign. Another exciting announcement, not to cut you off, but it ties together. But you guys, we finally have our Finding Your Frequency fan page up. It's facebook.com/Finding Your Frequency net. Go check it out, like it, share it with your friends. A lot of great content and videos already up there, but that's probably where we'll initiate the Finding Your Frequency's Biggest Loser as well.
Absolutely, doing the weigh-in. So, we'll get everybody involved. Once I get going with the program, and we start cutting out segments for the show to, initiate this whole campaign, the whole Biggest Loser type segment. We'll go ahead, we'll get that going. So stick around for that. Right now we have our first guest on the line, and this is Ted Nugent. An ambassador for healthy living, Ted Nugent has been a group fitness instructor for more than 30 years. She is a motivational speaker, author, award-winning TV producer and host, filmmaker, and is passionate about helping people make a positive impact on their health and overall well-being. So that'll be helpful right there.
Yeah.
She has appeared on MTV, VH1, Discovery, CMT, C-SPAN, Fox, and many other national television and radio shows. Ted got her start in media as a radio newscaster in 1980. With a bachelor's degree in radio, TV, and film, and a master's degree in metaphysics, Ted is taking her passion for helping others to the internet airways at her website, ShemaneNugent.rocks, where she shares her honest views about spirituality, faith, family, fitness, fashion, politics, healthy living, and her 27-year marriage to rock and roll legend Ted Nugent. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Miss Ted Nugent. Ted, welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I got to say, I work with the gentleman, his name is Chris Conlon, who is a huge Ted Nugent fan, and he's been working to get you on the show now, I guess, for several weeks. So I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you. And he's a fan of mine now, I think, too. I get like 10
totally a fan of yours. Yes.
And I have to
Who wouldn't be a fan of yours? Look at all of the stuff that you've accomplished in broadcasting. It's absolutely amazing. We appreciate you being on today.
Well, thank you. Thank you guys so much for having me. And you talked about doing a Biggest Loser type segment.
Yeah.
I want to help with that. I want to speak
yes.
at that point. That's my forte.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes, we will incorporate you. Help us out any way you can. Help me out because got to get my health back to where it was. So, Ted, obviously, there's a lot of accolades I just went through, but tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what you represent.
Well, I have to update that bio that you just read because now
okay.
Ted and I, we've been married 28 years. Ooh. So we just had an anniversary in January. I got to update that. But, life has its way of taking us in a direction that we don't always want to go, but we suddenly realize that we were meant to go there. And that's what happened to us. Our house that was once featured on MTV Cribs was contaminated with black mold. Yeah. And if you ever see that episode, I think they air it from time to time still, and I know there's episodes on YouTube. That house no longer stands. We demolished the entire house. Ted and I and our son Rocco got deathly ill. And we lost all of the contents of our home, including Ted's guitar memorabilia, my son's baby pictures.
That's awful.
But most importantly, we lost our health.
Yeah.
So it took me a while to get my health back and help my family, but with alternative remedies like infrared sauna, vitamin IV, and oxygen therapy, we were able to come back on top and feeling better than ever. But, at the time, it didn't seem like, it was going to be all that great. In fact, there were times when I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs if my life depended on it. Oh. And so I always thought about how could you turn that kind of a tragedy into something positive? How could that be, how can you make lemonade out of those lemons? And I wanted to write a book about it. And one day I was going to write a book called 50 is the New 30, but life gets in the way. I turned 50, I turned 51, I turned 52 and hadn't written a word. And then I literally just said my prayers and I just asked God for guidance. And the next morning I woke up and I had the title of the book, which was 4 Minutes a Day, Rock and Roll Your Way to Happy. And I wrote the book in 3 days. So it's not just about what happened to us, but how anybody can turn the obstacles that we all face. Right. We all have something that brings us to our knees. And I think our gift in life is to find out what that is, to find our treasure, and to share it with others and to help others. So that's why I'm here.
Hey, well, I'm right here. You found him.
Ryan Treasure.
Yes.
He's being silly.
I'm being silly. That's really awesome. One of the things I want to talk about, we're going to go to a commercial break here, but when we come back from the commercial break, let's talk a little bit about the inspiration for that book and how you developed it into a sort of a full person holistic program. I think that'll be some good things.
Yeah, and
to
I
hear.
want to talk about the show too. So we'll come back.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick commercial break here. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more to Cher&rsquo Nugent about all the fantastic things she's got going on and some of the inspiration that drives her and how she found her frequency. We'll be right back right after these messages. Stay tuned.
And welcome back to Finding Your Frequency. I'm your host, Jeff Spenard.
I'm your co-host, Ryan Treasure, and just before the commercial break, we were talking to Cher&rsquo Nugent right here on Finding Your Frequency, and we really wanted to dig in just a little bit about her 4 minutes a day to happy, rock and roll your way to happiness. And the question I had asked was, having her tell us a little bit more about the inspiration for that book and how it developed and sort of into this full person holistic program.
Yeah, well, it really stemmed from losing our home that was once featured on MTV Cribs and getting sick. And sometimes, when you're brought down to your knees, you have no place to go but up. And I kept thinking about how I could turn this tragedy of losing our home, losing Ted's guitar memorabilia, losing our son's baby pictures, but most importantly, losing our health, and turn it into something positive that can help others. So I wrote a book, 4 minutes a day, rock and roll your way to happy, which is about little things that you can do to change your life and live the life of your dreams, to be happier, healthier, and more prosperous.
I'm going to make sure Jeff does his 4 minutes a day.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And I'll join. I could be healthier too.
Good.
We could all
Good.
be healthy,
Yeah, I'm going to jump in there too.
Absolutely. And here's the dirty little secret, guys, because I know you want to know the dirty little secret,
Of course,
right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I was about to go there too.
Oh, well, the dirty little secret is that 4 minutes can be the inspiration and motivation to turn that time. Let's say you're busy. We're all busy. But let's say you want to fit going for a walk into your schedule. And you say, I don't have time to do an hour-long walk. What if you just start at 4 minutes? And I know you think, what's 4 minutes going to do? But you're probably going to get started. You're going to get started, and that 4 minutes can turn into 10 or 20 or even 30 or more. And if you schedule in an appointment, like if you had an appointment with a doctor and you knew you were going to be charged if you missed that appointment, you definitely would make it. Yeah. So write in your schedule 3 to 5 times a week minimum, 4 minutes a day, and see if that can turn into 30 or 60 minutes.
Now, Cher&rsquo, is there something psychological about 4 minutes, or is it just kind of how it all worked out?
That's before the break I was talking about how I wanted to share my story about the tragedy that happened to us, and I wanted to write a book called 50 is the New 30, and it took me years to get motivated. Life gets in the way, and I just got too busy, and I didn't write a word. And I said my prayers and asked God for guidance, and the next morning I woke up, and I had this message that the book should be titled 4 minutes a day, rock and roll your way to happy. Okay, and awesome. I realized that day was Good Friday, and something spectacular happened in 3 days. So that was really the inspiration, and honestly, guys, the book wrote itself. The words just flowed off of my fingertips onto the keyboard, and that's how I wrote it.
That's what Ryan and I call finding your frequency.
Absolutely.
That's my frequency, yep.
Go ahead.
Well, I could go on and on about frequency. I'm so glad that you guys had me on, because I'm all about frequency, and I think that when we find our zone, some people call it being in the zone.
Right.
But when you are in the metaphysical world, when we talk about finding our frequency, when you're doing the thing that you love to do, nothing else matters. You're in the zone. You feel happy and fit and free and healthy. And chances are you're doing something that can benefit others. And so when we find the thing that makes our heart sing, our frequency vibrates at a higher activity, at a higher level. And when we're down in the doldrums, everybody gets depressed from time to time. It feels like you weigh 10 times more than you do, and you're sluggish. So my goal in life is really to change people's lives and help them find the thing that makes their heart sing.
You know, Shameen, you're making this transitional elements extremely easy for me as you continue to talk about, helping other people. I know you were down at Baylor University speaking to the American Heart Association, and you guys are on the board of directors for Operation Family Finally Home. And I know you do a lot of work with the Canines for Warriors and all of those charities. With your guys' incredibly busy schedule and all of that, where do you guys find time to get your 4 minutes?
It's a good question. That is a good question. It's funny because my husband has some really strict guidelines and boundaries, and he will not do anything, no matter what the offer is, during the hunting season. So those are his boundaries. That's his boundaries. He's lost probably millions of dollars turning down amazing opportunities. But, we do have our boundaries. We do have family time and downtime and time that we just make for ourselves every single day.
I would imagine you have to, especially now. I'm sure you guys aren't hurting for anything, and, life is good. And now's the time where it's definitely family time. So it's good to, make sure that you...
Yeah, especially in this extremely connected world. Like there's, your phone is ringing, you're getting social media messages and all that. And I do agree. Sometimes it's extremely important. My wife takes my phone from me, so...
Yeah, we do have to do that. The first time I taught Ted how to do Facebook Live, I think I've created a monster because he does it all the time now. But it's fun, and there's a time to shut it down. But you know what, you were talking... I think, Jeff, you mentioned about how we aren't hurting for anything. But you know what? My goal in life, since I've been sick, since I know what it's like to lose my health, since I know what it's like not to be able to walk up a flight of stairs if my life depends on it, my goal in life is to be healthy so that I can help other people. And so I have to make health my priority. And the older I get, the more I realize I got to be selfish. I got to put myself first and then help others. So like the stewardess says, you got to put the oxygen mask on yourself first and then help the children.
Child. Shemaine, let's talk about your podcast, This Rockin' Life. Tell us a little bit about what's going on there.
Well, I started out in radio in 1980, and I've always wanted to get back to my roots. I love interviewing people, so maybe I'll have you guys on my podcast.
Yeah, be happy
I love interviewing people and finding out what makes them tick. And of course, I interview my husband, but I interview him about things that definitely rock and roll, but something that you might not expect, like the obstacles in his life and how he got through those. Sure. And then I interviewed Dr. Kapil Gupta, who talked about he helps professional athletes get to the next level. And he was the first one that shared the term with me, becoming mindless. We don't want to become mindful, as this term is so prevalent right now. Who wants to have a mind full of stuff when you can't focus? We really want to get to that point where we're in the zone and we're mindless and we're not thinking. Like in the movie The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, when Tom Cruise was trying to learn how to sword fight, and the other samurai said, no, too many mind. You're thinking too much. Right. So we want to really be mindless. And I just released a podcast today with the Dr. Pamela Hughes, who happens to be my neurologist, and we talk all about functional medicine.
Sure.
That's awesome. You really have a really nice podcast. That just from what you've shared, it really seems like there's a nice spread of different topic matter that covers a lot of life-changing components, and I really like that you're putting that out there.
How long have you been doing the podcast for?
Yeah.
About a month.
Okay, so you're brand new with the whole podcast.
I just started, yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, now that I know you're doing a podcast, Voice America is the leader in live internet talk radio. We've been doing this since 1999, and Jeff and the company has produced several 100,000 hours of podcasts. We would love to bring your podcast over
I am
here.
bringing you over to Voice America.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right.
Okay.
Twist my arm, why don't you?
Now that that's settled, okay. So I understand that you were never really a big rock and roll fan. How do you get with a guy like Ted?
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Well, it came to radio. When Ted and I met, I was a traffic reporter at a rock and roll radio station in Detroit, and my job was just to provide traffic reports every 15 minutes. And Ted came in and filled in for the morning crew for a whole week. And you guys know, your job in radio is to talk to people.
Yep.
And when you're just talking to somebody for 4 hours every single day, you get to learn a lot about them. And I realized, here's a guy that doesn't drink and smoke. Here's a guy that's funny and witty, and there's not a topic that I could bring up that he didn't have a comment on. And he made me laugh. So when we met, I didn't know anything about him other than he was a rock and roll musician. And, it's funny because we met October 3rd, 1988. Our first date was November 7th. We got engaged a month later and got married a month after that. And here we are 28 years later.
Oh, that's congratulations.
28 happy
Absolutely.
years
Thank you.
later.
Oh, just total bliss, guys. Yeah.
So, Shemaine, what's next? What do you do next?
Oh, you know what? It's me time now. I'm actually in pre-production and development for producing a film. I'm a screenwriter as well, and I wrote a script about my son's experience. He's a basketball player, and he wanted to learn how to, tangle with the tough guys in the inner cities. So he went to an inner city school where he became the minority. And what happened to him, I just kept thinking while it was happening that this is a movie. Nobody hears about this aspect going on where he was the minority and one of the kids on his team was shot and killed. And the next day they wrote R.I.P. J. Smith on their tennis shoes and they went on with it. So just a whole different set of values. And the next thing is I'm continuing with my podcast. I write blogs. I do Facebook Live. I'm going to help you guys with your Biggest Loser. And I'm going to come on Voice America. And I'm going to continue to change people's lives in any way that I can.
Awesome. Well, that is awesome. We really appreciate all the time that you gave us today and, answering all of our questions about what you have going on. Tell our listeners where they can find your blogs and your website so they can connect with you outside of the Frequency Show.
Sure. You can find more about me at my website, which is Shemaine Nugent. It's spelled SHEMANE, Nugent, NUGENT.rocks, ROCKS. And my podcast is there, and my blog is there, and I've got all kinds of tidbits, little helpful tips to keep you healthier and happier and more prosperous and living the life of your dreams.
Awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it right here. Shemaine Nugent, thank you so much.
Thank you, Shemaine.
Thanks,
we appreciate
guys.
you being on the show, and we look forward to you coming over to Voice America.
Absolutely. Ladies
Sounds
and gentlemen,
great.
you're listening to Finding Your Frequency. Go check out the podcast. It'll be up in about 45 minutes right after this. You guys can check out this interview with Shemaine. Check out our social media. We got a new Facebook page out there, facebook.com/Finding Your Frequency net. Go check that out at Radio Ryan 1, at Jeff Spinney 2. We'll be right back with more Finding Your Frequency right after this commercial.
And welcome back to Finding Your Frequency. I'm your host, Jeff Spinard.
I'm your co-host, Ryan Treasure.
Ryan, you know what? We're having a big day today. It's all about, some rock history. It's all about health. It's about giving back. And right now, we have Gary Miller, who is an English music producer and songwriter with a list of credits that includes Katy Perry, Andrea Bocelli, Donna Summer, and Elton John, to name just a few. Gary was a key member of the famous production trio Stock Aitken and Waterman when they discovered Kylie Minogue and teamed with the highly successful production company Metrophonic in London, where they produced Cher's quadruple platinum Believe album and David Bowie's comeback album, Heathen, which ended up selling over 2 million copies amongst many other hit songs and classic albums. Gary's genius production talents led to the idea of a compilation album featuring songs by Sting and the Police, and he dedicated his effort to founding Rock Against Trafficking. Gary Miller, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. You're very kind.
Gary, you have some tremendous accolades. Tell our audience a little bit about who Gary Miller is.
Well, I've been producing records for like 30 years now for different things, pop records and everything. I toured with George Michael and Elton John, Nick Kershaw. I've been doing that for songwriting for as long as I can remember, really. So that's it, really. On what I do is
produce great albums. That's what you do, is produce great albums.
He does produce great albums. He's being a little shy here.
Yeah, a little humble.
I'm an audio engineer, Gary. I've been an audio engineer since 1997, and to listen to the production quality and value that the things that you touch have, it's absolutely amazing. You do a fantastic job, and just please keep it up. We gotta keep having that fantastic sound, man.
You're very kind. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And of course, we'll talk about Rock Against Trafficking and everything you're doing with Rock Against Trafficking as the treasurer and one of the board of directors. And you're doing the production of all the songs. So, we got to get together and make sure that we get funding to help keep this project going and make sure that everybody is involved with this Rock Against Trafficking.
There's going to be many albums. It's not just going to be, I want to keep this ongoing, like quite a few different albums with different genres as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's one of the things I liked about what you guys are doing with Rock Against Trafficking, is really taking, a bunch of those different musical genres and putting them all together, so it doesn't really leave any one person out when that thing's ready to go. Everybody has something that they can listen to support the cause at rockagainsttrafficking.org. Go donate.
Yes, absolutely.
Gary, we're going to bring in our next guest here. Kevin Young is a serial entrepreneur and founder and owner of Young Private Consulting. He's been building compelling business ventures throughout his 30-plus year and cutting his teeth in the early days of the breakup of telecommunication monopoly. And Kevin, as a founder, was instrumental in creating, developing, marketing, and distributing the very first American prepaid phone product that sold $100 million of phone cards all over the world. Through his unique product, Kevin learned that business could partner with humanitarian projects and focus those cards to raise millions of dollars, as well as awareness for causes such as homeless hunger, disease awareness, children's needs, and many other compelling initiatives. And Kevin is also one of the board members on Rock Against Trafficking. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jeff. And, of course, hey, Gary, how you doing? Great to have you on the call. Hello?
Gary, you there?
Yeah. Hey, Gary. Oh, he probably muted out. Anyway, listen, it's my pleasure to be on the show with you guys. First off, I want to say thank you to everybody who's listening. Hopefully there's going to be a takeaway message here. Jeff and Ryan are two amazing men. I met a couple weeks ago. We had our album soft launch down in Hollywood. And, I spoke with Jeff for about 20 minutes about the plight of human trafficking and the issue that we have to face as a society. And it took Jeff literally 20 minutes to say, Kevin, I'll be there. What do I got to do? Yep. And the heart that you two have and the reach that you have and the people that you're impacting, I just want to say I'm so grateful to have you in my life. And, this isn't about Kevin Young. This isn't about Gary so much as it is about all the people that are currently being held hostage as slaves, that are being abused and traded and sold for some disgusting things.
Right.
And so, anyway, I'd be happy to answer any questions and
Well, listen, let me just say this. To go back to what you were saying about our conversation, our 20-minute conversation. It's just me being. I'm a classic example of the less education, the less you think of things. So, I had just come off the tail end of a story that was on the news about a 17-year-old girl gone missing from a mall. And
here,
right in our backyard.
Chandler,
yes,
yep.
Right in our backyard. And it just so happened that, of course, they were pushed, thinking, of course, this is human trafficking. And then shortly thereafter, here I am talking to you about human trafficking. I'm like, something? This hit home. It was something that I felt very strongly about. And I said to Ryan, we're going to stand behind human trafficking, and we're going to hopefully get together with Rock Against Trafficking to see what we can accomplish together.
Yeah, you know, I have a 3-year-old daughter, and when you think about that, especially living in Arizona, so close to the border to Mexico, and there's, you know, kidnappings on a weekly basis here in Arizona, and it's definitely one of those things that hits home for me as well. And, you know, like I said, having a daughter, it makes me just feel like whatever I can do to get involved to help, you know, and being in media. When Jeff said, hey, we're going to the event and we're going to do interviews and talk about this all night long, I was like, absolutely, we have to be there because, you know, if people don't start working on this problem and start figuring out a solution for it, it's going to become an even larger epidemic than it is.
Right. Gary, are you on the phone?
Yes, I'll be here, yes.
Okay. Listen, you started this project, 4 years ago?
Yes, 4 years ago now, yes.
Okay, tell us how you kind of you came together with the group you're with to put this together.
Well, basically what it was a simple thing, really. I thought... I thought it was a 3-month project where I was going to do this record because I wanted to do something to pay back, as I've been doing music for years and worrying about getting to number one and all this sort of stuff all the time. And it was I wanted to bring music in for a cause, you know, to make it you know, people listen because and I thought through celebrities. That was the best way. That was the best way to do this. So somebody showed me a leaflet from an organisation called IJM, International Justice Mission, and it was something like 27 million children per year, and like there's more people in slavery today now than ever before in history, and people are just not aware of it.
No.
And so I saw this thing, so I thought I'd like to do something. So I basically started doing it one by one, and the first person that came on board was Slash, and he supported this for 4 years, and I basically just started doing the production one by one, and Slash came on, and then from then on we got Santana and Rob Thomas and Journey, you know, Heart, lots of major Glenn Hughes from Deep Purple. Many of these artists came on one by one. And I just asked them to give me their favorite Sting or Police song, and I started making new arrangements of this. And now we have about 15 major artists on board.
So Gary, the album that you guys are producing, is each one of the songs by the artist? Is it a unique one-off song that's brand new and only relegated to this album?
Yes, well, they're not brand new songs. Obviously, they're all Sting and Police songs. But what I did was I got them to choose the favourite song, and then I did a brand new arrangement of this song, and then they came in and sang it. They came in and sang the song, and I just carried on working and building it up like I have been doing for 4 years.
What is one of the latest songs that you're working on right now?
One of the songs that I've just been doing is I've been working on Journey's record. Journey did Synchronicity 2, and so I did that, and I've just got on board a guy called Matt Goss, and Matt Goss is a really big English pop star who and then he came on board and he just sang one of the Police songs as well.
Now,
so that's going to be released in Europe.
Now, the song that was we went into L.A., we went to the Rocky and Trafficking. That was Roxanne, right?
Oh, Glenn Hughes from Deep Purple did Roxanne.
That was an awesome song.
Yeah, the compilation was fantastic. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, the great thing about this, I mean, Sting songs are all. I mean, he's such a wonderful songwriter, and so that was one of the reasons why I thought the musicians. I mean, Sting is a musician, and I thought if you asked, everybody's got a favorite Sting or the Police song, so it worked out very well.
Absolutely. You know, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break here before we come back and round out the show on the very last segment. Everybody go check out rockagainsttrafficking.org. Please go donate. It's extremely important. And then, of course, you can check out Voice America and us on Facebook, facebook.com/Finding Your Frequency Net. Like, share away, and, of course, on Twitter @Radio Ryan1, @Jeff Spinney 2. We'll be right back. Finding Your Frequency.
And welcome back to Finding Your Frequency. I am your host, Jeff Spinard.
I am your co-host, Ryan Treasure, and we're right here live on the air with Gary Miller and Kevin Young. Guys, you know, what it seems like to me as we start to talk about everything that's happening with Rock Against Trafficking and what you guys are creating, it's almost like you're building a new concept, like a venture humanitarian. It's almost a whole new way of helping people. Tell us a little bit about how that venture humanitarian frequency that you found inside yourself keeps propelling forward and making strides in this movement.
Is that to me, Ryan?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Kevin.
Oh, hey, okay, thank you. Hi, everybody, again. Well, listen, you know, my past, I was the guy who helped start the whole prepaid phone card industry, and, you know, it just was a phone card. But
I remember that.
Yeah, it was actually, we, as a little company, we produced $600 million in sales, and over $50 million of that we ended up giving back to causes.
That's awesome.
I learned early on that if you intentionally build something in your conscious to help people in a business model, as an entrepreneur, I guess I call myself a conscious capitalist. As a conscious capitalist, I don't wait for other people to help other people. I just like to be able to find a business that you can plug that in and build something so it supports people. So in that 10 years of experience, we raised money for Habitat for Humanity, Children's Miracle Network, a cancer organization, the AIDS Research Foundations, and you know that simple little calling card really became a light. It became a frequency. And so when it comes to frequency, and I want to talk about Gary Miller for a second.
Yep.
That man on the phone or on this call right now has so much light in his heart, and he is a huge humanitarian, and he's very understated about what he does. But what he's doing, for all of you who are listening today, what is the one thing that brings us together? What's the frequency that brings this in light? It's the music, right? So the consciousness that we all carry together, that we're tethered, is really, it's that biological internet. We are one consciousness. And every time somebody is kept as a slave or who's being leveraged or taken advantage of or traded as currency, a human being is traded as currency. That's called unconscious currency, right? That should not be able to thrive in our world, on our planet. And so we as a collective group of people, whether you're in business or whether you're a musician or you're an artist or you're an author or you're a housewife or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. If somebody is being used and abused and taken advantage of, and I'm a dad, I got a little 11-year-old sitting over here right now. I can't imagine what it'd be like knowing that he's being, you know, hijacked and taken and put into a cage and used and abused. That just does not happen. We cannot let that happen. So Gary Miller and all these amazing artists have come together to bring their frequency, which is this music, this talent that brings us into one unity, and that becomes conscious currency.
Absolutely.
And guess what? We're paying it forward. So I am just like, I feel so blessed to be, you know, associated with this organization because I know that one person can help. And by the way, go to www.uday.rat, R-A-T, Rock Against Trafficking, because we're going to rat these people out. And you can make a 99-cent contribution every month through PayPal. And if you do that, you're going to get a free song sung by Glenn Hughes, produced by Gary Miller, called Roxanne. It'll blow your socks off. It's
That's
amazing.
Awesome. And everybody can afford 99 cents.
Yeah, 99
a
cents.
month.
I'm going to go do it when I get done.
Absolutely.
Right away. You know, you make an interesting point because music is an international language spoken by all, no matter what language the music is sung in or that thing. And, you know, really using that to bind the frequencies to make forward momentum is, you know, the reason why, you know, Jeff is doing this radio show. This is why he wrote his book. This is why we operate with Voice America. And we strive every day to, you know, get the message out, get the word out on topics and matters that the mainstream media just doesn't cover. And, you know, to have you guys on to really tell your story about the Rock Against Trafficking piece and how impactful it is it touches my heart. It makes me feel like we're really doing some good work here. So, number one, I want to thank both of you guys for, you know, putting forth your time, effort, and energy into such a worthy cause. And we really appreciate you guys being on the radio show today. One more time, though, I want you guys to just give out that website address where people can go and donate that 99 cents.
Yeah, it's www.uday.com/rat, R-A-T. And this is, you know, like crowdfunding, this is a way for everybody who can just make a little contribution, right? We as millions and millions of people who have this consciousness can make a 99-cent donation. And every month we're going to be able to share some inside backtrack information as well as content, music, interviews, and things like that. So it's www.uday.com/rat, R-A-T. Spend your 99 cents. Get that free Roxanne song by Glenn Hughes, produced by Gary Miller.
Yeah, and for all you guys out there listening, go check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/findingafrequency.net. Here right after the show, we'll have that link up right away so you guys can go donate. And Jeff and I got to hear that song.
It's bad.
It is phenomenal. Yeah, it is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, every artist on the record is first class, and the vocals, they've all worked really hard on it. I'm really pleased with it, because also as well, with a lot of charity organisations, you usually, like for Live Aid and things like that, which was fantastic, but it was just one song, you know.
Right.
And I don't think one song's enough. You need to be bringing people into it all the time with different genres of music, because as you said earlier on, it's like music is a universal language. And obviously the problems I found is people didn't want to know about it. When I used to tell people about this in the beginning, 4 years ago, they didn't want to know. Nobody wanted to know about it. So I thought the best way was, well, if we do it through music, they'll have to listen. Because they'll know when to see Slash and Hart and Journey performing these songs. It's to do with the human trafficking. Against it, obviously, not for it.
Yeah, right. And, I think we should probably say that, we are in the process of launching a new channel on Voice America, the Influencers channel. And, I'll say this now, that we are talking to Gary and Kevin about, doing a show on that network. So, we'd like to have Rock Against Trafficking to be able to give out education and have, some great guests on and really keep the public informed, because it really is about getting out there on a consistent basis. So however we have to make that happen, we will make that happen.
No, that's wonderful.
Good.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for joining the radio show today. We only have a couple of minutes before we close it out, but I want to make sure we get all the thank yous in. Ladies and gentlemen, big shout out to Gary Miller and Kevin Young for everything that they're doing to rock against human trafficking. Go check out the website, rockagainsttrafficking.org. And, as we kind of prepare for some up-and-coming things that we have going on, next week on Saturday, Jeff and I will be out in Los Angeles, and we'll be broadcasting live from the Influencers Unite event with the West Coast Speakers Coalition. So go to voiceamerica.tv. You can check out the live stream there. And, of course, all of the Rock Against Trafficking videos that we shot out in Los Angeles are almost completed editing. We'll have most of those up on Monday. And you guys can really go check out some of the interviews that we did about Rock Against Trafficking with some of the high-profile individuals and celebrities that were there at the event, and really see the shape and the form that this movement is taking, so you guys can get involved.
We are all in this together, so thank you so much, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Thanks for being on, and we will talk again very shortly. But again, great to have you on. It's good to share that knowledge, education. That's what it's all about. So.
Yeah, and you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to be back again for Finding a Frequency, 2 p.m. Pacific time, every Friday right here on the Voice America Variety Channel. So make sure you guys check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/Finding a Frequency Net, on Twitter @RadioRyan1, @JeffSpinney2, voiceamerica.com, Finding a Frequency. We'll be back next week. Stay tuned.